if Jason Robertson is to become available, should Kyle Dubas call Dallas? Let's talk about it.
It's Crosby. Crosby on Kunitz and shot. Penguins win it! Sees part for Crosby to the goal. He scores!
Buckle up, baby. Are you kidding me?
And on Fane, the shot. He scores! Here's Crosby with a burst of speed up the middle. Gets all back.
We're a collective.
Andy Kyoto is beating Minamaki's brains in. What a show!
The Pittsburgh Penguins sit currently second in the Metropolitan Division and in a playoff spot. We have players that are getting healthy that want to return to the lineup. But here's the problem. Our roster is currently logjammed. We had an issue with this with the goaltenders. We solved it. Now we need to solve the player issue. We may have a solution. Usually when teams are kind of teetering on a playoff spot, they want to add one extra variable to this team that can push them over the edge. A lot of rumors going around over in Dallas saying a certain hockey player is available. We believe Josh and I have put together a great trade offer that Kyle Dubas should consider to take a look about adding Jason Robertson to the Pittsburgh Penguins to take the Pens to that next step, that next level, so that way the Penguins can not only secure a playoff spot, but they can make an argument to winning the Metropolitan Division and flying into the playoffs. Josh, what should we know about Jason Robertson other than he's a pretty good hockey player?
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of start and end the conversation there, but he's a 26-year-old winger. He kind of is an elite goal scorer, essentially. When you're talking about just wingers in general, he is probably top 5, top 10 in the NHL, top 20 overall player for sure in the NHL. So it's kind of similar to the Rantanen situation just last year with his contract situation. He is up. This is the last year of his deal. He will become a restricted free agent for Dallas if he is not dealt at the trade deadline. No confirmed trade request has been made from Jason Robertson's camp. However, there is no contract negotiations from Dallas's camp either. So that kind of both seem to be at a stalemate with each other. Now, also with the Dallas Stars, they have, I guess, money issues. They don't have enough cap to re-sign him at this current point. They will have to shell off some salary in order to reach his request, which is somewhere in the range of $13 million per year.
Jeez.
Now, could they do some cap figuration to make that work for their cap? I'm sure, but is it worth it to put yourself in that situation for multiple years? Because he's not going to want to sign a short-term deal. So, what does that mean? What does it mean for Jason Robertson? There are little, bells and whistles that are going off everywhere. The fact that he has not requested a trade, but he has not received any contract extensions. And then, most recently, as of, I think it was just a couple days ago, he switched agents. So now people are asking, what does that mean? Does he not like the way that negotiations were going with his previous agent? And now he's switching it up so that he stays there? Or is this new agent going to help him get the best return for Dallas on his way out the door? Who knows? But I think the important question is this worth Kyle Dubas making a call to Dallas about?
Yeah, I think, first of all, if you can improve your hockey team, I say it's always worth a phone call. Now, we don't know what Dallas is specifically looking for. We know that they are rumored to not want additional picks. They don't want to do what Kyle Dubas is doing currently. They don't want to add prospects. They don't want to add picks. We have hogged up. We have collected, like freaking Ash Ketchum, all these draft picks and prospects to eventually deal out. That was the goal. Kyle Dubas himself has said, we have over 30 picks at the time during this interview. He said we have over 30 picks. Half of them will be dealt. Half of them will be dealt. Half of them we will probably keep or get rid of. There is an arsenal being built by Kyle Dubas to eventually unload it on a deal. Could this be the deal? Jason Robertson is a game changer. He's a team changer. And why not add it to an already surprisingly talented, motivated Pittsburgh Penguins this season? We did not expect the Penguins to be this good this year. No one did. That is the reason why we fought for Brunick and Kindle to make the roster, even though they're first-round draft picks. That was not the point. The point was to get them experience so that they can get used to the NHL. Spoiler alert, turned out they were pretty good. And also, the Penguins were rallying behind them. And now we find ourselves in the second Metropolitan spot for the playoffs. Who would have thought halfway through we would be one of the best teams in the Metro? No one did. Everyone thought we were going to tank for McKenna. So now it's on the flip side. We have the 30 picks. We have everything that we need to do to make a deal. These are the perfect conditions to add at the deadline rather than sell. Now, maybe if you want to throw a trade to clear up some cap space to get ready for something like this, but ultimately, teams in the Pittsburgh Penguins position usually put one asset on the trade deadline to see if the Penguins can make it to the playoffs. You see it all the time. Sometimes teams go and get depth, which is older, more experienced players that kind of help the team in the playoffs, or they go all out and try to get a talented player so that way they are solidified in their offense. They are solidified in their defense. Usually you don't see a goaltender halfway through the season if they're going to make a push. We already made our goaltender change. We're already happy with our goaltending situation. Our defense is getting better by the day. How can we improve? I know. Losing some players on the offensive side so that way we can make room for more of a solidified roster. A more solidified, talented roster that can make a very far push in the playoffs. That's what I think we need to start doing. And Josh, are you ready to kind of share to the world what we have been cooking up? Now, before we send this, let's give a little fair warning. Josh is not a general manager. God knows I'm not a general manager. If you see this and go, this is the worst thing I've ever seen, let us know. We need to know so that way we can be better for you. We want to know so we can make a better trade. But we know Kyle Dubas has a lot of stuff. We know Dallas is asking for a lot of stuff. I feel like we've made pretty good compromise, Josh. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the trade proposal that we have outlined here will show that I think we kind of hit what Dallas is asking for, but then we also provide them with what we have a surplus of, which is draft picks. So we kind of hit every criteria that you kind of ask for in terms of a blockbuster trade. Now, will it be exactly what Dallas is asking for? I don't know if we have that, but
sure.
I think this is the best that we can do. Dubas is a weird, hipster mathematician genius. I'm sure he'd find a way to make this work if he wanted to add in another team to help Dallas get exactly what they want. But this was kind of what we're at.
Here's what we can provide if it's just a Dallas and Pittsburgh trade, okay?
Correct.
This is what we're thinking. So here's the official trade graphic. You're welcome to use it, Pittsburgh, if you're just looking to save some time. Here is what we're looking for. The Pittsburgh Penguins will receive Jason Robertson. Nice. 4. This is what Dallas is receiving. Rickard Rakell, Tommy Novak, Ville Koivunen, a 2026 first-round draft pick, and a 2027 second-round draft pick. Josh, there was a lot of consideration going into this trade. We felt, as we were putting this graphic together, I kind of felt like we were in the war room. We were kind of saying, like, I don't know, maybe we should do this. Oh, let's look at the contracts. When are they expiring? How much do they make? What is exactly Dallas is looking for? We should look at that. Oh, and I was about to pick up the phone and call the Dallas general manager myself, Josh. How do you feel about this trade? What stands out to you? Maybe walk us through what your line of thought is to get this deal done.
Yeah, first and foremost, it starts with the rumor of Dallas wanting essentially a replacement for Jason Robertson. And in that they do not want a rental. So that's where my mind immediately went to Rickard Rakell. He's a winger, he's a goal scorer, and he's under contract. So I felt like that was essentially when you're just looking at it, it's a 1-for-1. I understand the skill level there is a big skill level gap. If you ask me personally, I'm going to take Jason Robertson every day of the week over Rickard Rakell as much as I enjoy watching him lace it up for the black and gold. However, when it comes to it, if they're not going to pay Jason Robertson $13 million, I'm sure they would feel a lot more comfortable paying Rickard Rakell $5 million. So that's where my thought process is. And then additionally, he's under contract for another 2 years. So you still have that, like Dallas has that win now mentality. Our window is open. Rickard Rakell stays within that window, that time frame for them to extend their Stanley Cup aspirations.
And not only that, Rickard Rakell also brings veteran presence.
Yes,
so this is a very good thing. Jason Robertson, he is young. He's 26 years old. But Rakell, 32, brings a lot of knowledge, brings a lot of hockey IQ to an already very talented team in Dallas. Maybe that could be the extra push they need to make it far in the playoffs. Josh, you can continue.
Yeah, and then with Novak, we're kind of going with that mid-level, not prospect youth type player, but not veteran. You're kind of going with that mid 6 type player there. Same thought process. He's under contract. He has term left. So again, not a rental. He would be going, not only this year, but the next year as well at, $3.5 million per year for his contract. And then again, it allows Dallas to have some versatility with their lineup because Novak can play center as well as wing. And then, he can contribute on the score sheet as well. So, and then, every trade, you have NHL ready players, you have prospects. However, we read that Dallas does not want long-term prospects. They want short-term prospects. And we believe that's exactly where Ville Koivunen is. He may not be ready for the NHL right at this moment, but that does not mean by the end of this year, he won't be. Does not mean next year he won't be. So we feel like without giving up our elite prospects, this is probably that next tier. So if you want to say, we have S-level prospects, we have A-level prospects, so on and so forth. This would probably be an A-level prospect for that Ville Koivunen would fall under. And I feel like that helps push this trade even further in the Penguins' favor. So that way he's 22 years old, but yet he's young enough to be considered a prospect, but at the same time, he's skilled enough, talented enough, and experienced enough to be at an NHL level player. And then lastly, to complete the trade, you have to throw in draft capital. I feel like a trade of this caliber, of Jason Robertson's, criteria, resume, skill level, you have to throw in picks as well. It has to happen. And for his resume, I think he warrants a first-round pick. You can argue an additional first-round pick, but we're going with a second-round pick just based off of the level of Ville Koivunen, him being an A-level prospect that is young but can be re-signed cheap to be extended. And now there you go. You have another cornerstone in your franchise going forward. So that offsets the 2027 becoming a first-round pick as well. But the thought process around this was also based off of the Rantanen trade, the Gensel trade, most recently the Rasmus Anderson trade, and kind of just how we're projecting all of this is to play out. Again, we're not GMs, but we're also Pens fans, so we're trying not to give away too much, which it feels like we are, but you have to think about what we're getting in return. And the way I see it, Ville Koivunen right now is in Wilkes-Barre. So we don't have to worry about a spot for him. Tommy Novak, we can fill that role, with calling up a Rucker once we feel like he's ready to go, or a Bros or a Kopanen or Philip Hollander when he gets healthy. Like that'll be a spot that can be filled in there, and then Rickard Rakell and Jason Robertson. Robertson will just fill in Rakell's spot on that top line, winging Crosby and joining Rust. So I feel like it's a win-win if you ask me. If Dallas wants to get greedy and hold out for a better offer, they very well might. And before I get into how else I feel about this, Louie, I'm just going to throw it back to you. What your thoughts, where your mind was at when we were hashing it out with these trade pieces?
Yeah. So my first of all, from just a designer standpoint, as I'm designing this graphic, and I'm like, man, it's pretty heavy sided. Look at Dallas. Yeah. There's a lot of
for sure.
100% lot going to Dallas. But what I'm honestly thinking is just, man, how can you say no to this deal, right? If you take a look at their contracts, if you take a look at everything, I would pull this trigger now, rather than wait for the deadline. Now, Dallas would be smarter than this. They would probably say, well, let's see if we get a better deal. But honestly, I don't think you're going to find one. And this is a main reason why is I think the diamond in the rough is Ville Koivunen. This is you look at this trade and go, we see AHL. Dallas may look and go, we just gained a very young player that is ready to go. So we talked about it previously on our podcast, which is Ville Koivunen is the odd man out, unfortunately. If we had less guys, less forwards, he'd be playing right now, regardless if he was producing or not. So maybe he's not ready for the NHL for us, but for Dallas, they could just plug and play with him right now. So he may produce there. It's always the thing about change of scenery. Look at Kulak. He's scoring now for us. Connor Clifton, he just scored. He's producing. Look at all Dewar. Look at all, even Novak. Look at these guys for Penguins. Change of scenery. Now they're producing. And you would argue Pittsburgh isn't the epicenter of production this season. It's not like we're Colorado, but guess what? They're finding new ways to score. You could say the same for guys like Ville Koivunen and Rickard Rakell. Rickard Rakell has 20 points on the season in 28 games played. That's not bad. That's really good. That's really good from coming off an injury. Now, it does help having Sidney Crosby as your center, of course. But you can also argue having a guy like Ville Koivunen and Tommy Novak. These guys are producing. These guys, 24 points. You had Koivunen at 5 points. He's been up and down, so he hasn't really had a consistency.
Yeah.
But if you look at this and you're Dallas, you're just saying they're giving us 3 NHL-ready players. That's it. End of discussion. 3 guys who are ready to start. Here's 32, 28, 22. We're giving you the gambit on your pick. You want a veteran? You got an NHL guy, and also we have a young guy who's ready to go, still on his entry-level contract. This is all for you. All for you. $5 million, $3.5 million, and making under $1 million. Guess what? You're welcome. You're welcome for giving this. Now, the picks scare me. Okay? I know how much Kyle Dubas really likes these picks. 2026 first-round pick, you got to feel like that's a given. Now, I would make an argument, if you want to do a 2027 first-round draft pick, I feel like maybe Dallas would have to send a run-of-the-mill prospect. I'm not looking for their top one. I'm not looking for guys that they're kind of hoping for. I'm just saying throw in a prospect. I feel like that would make Kyle Dubas happier. I'm sure that would even make Dallas feel better because it feels like they're getting even something now because that would probably find Koivunen in that position as well. Now listen, the reason why I'm saying all this is because the Jari trade was massive for Kyle Dubas, and I'll tell you why. Everyone thought at the beginning of the year we were going to deal Jari anyway. Josh, what was the prediction?
Just send them for a bag of chips. Future considerations. Maybe a third-round draft pick if we're lucky. How on earth did Kyle Dubas call Edmonton, say, give us Skinner and Kulak? Okay? And Kulak. We're going to get 2 players for Jari and Sam Poole. Oh, no, we also got a draft pick. Did we not? We also got a third-round draft pick. A 2027 third-round draft pick. For Tristan Jari and Sam Poulin. Yep.
Tell me that wasn't a masterclass of a trade. If Kyle Dubas can do that with Jari, and Jari is kind of struggling with it, why not do the same with this trade? Now listen, Jason Robertson, he's one of a kind. This isn't a Tristan Jari trade. I understand that. I totally get it. I hear you. But with what we're giving, I feel like it's kind of heavy-handed. I feel like maybe Kyle Dubas can work something out. I still think the picks that we made, not only the draft, but Rickard Rakell, Tommy Novak, and Ville Koivunen, it's kind of a no-brainer for Dallas. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I agree. And I think that's why I felt like you had to kind of go heavy. You have to go heavy-handed in order to make it work where Dallas feels like they can't hang up the phone, so to speak. So I think what's going to be the hang up with a lot of fans when they see this is going to be the draft picks and Koivunen and Rakell. It's going to feel like a lot. But you have to think when you're making this type of trade mid-season, it's always going to be more expensive. If you think about just last season, we talked about it. It just felt like a lot of people were overpaying at the trade deadline.
That is
a lot of first-round picks were being flung around for not first-round pick worthy players. So it gets pretty wild at the trade deadline. So if you want to argue that we don't touch this until the offseason and you remove a guy and a draft pick, that's fine. I'm totally okay with that. But the reason why I feel like you do it now is the way that Louie began the episode. We are in a position not only to make the playoffs, but just recently with Carolina finally finding their game again, we can go on a run and make a push for the first in the Metro. Why not? Why not? Sure, the Islanders, Capitals, Flyers, they're all on our heels behind us. let's not just get it twisted of like we're just comfortably in second here. They're of course they're behind us closely, but we're not too far behind Carolina either. So why not make a play that would then position you in a better spot than definitely the teams behind you, but now brings you one step closer to the team ahead of you in Carolina? Because we all know the firepower that they have. They're not messing around. And now with this new goaltender that they found off of the scrap pile from the NHL that is just lighting it up the last few games.
Yeah, it's true.
They can start figuring things out and go on a tear. So let's not get lost in the weeds here, and let's go put the nail in the coffin that we're going to need in order to not only get us to the playoffs, but that's going to allow us to make a run once we get into playoffs.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying that we need to doubt the guys who are on our team, but let's just look at reality. Crosby, Malkin, Letang, Carlson, they're older, seasoned veterans. Are we going to count on them for all 82 games and then however many get, what is it? You got to get 16 wins to get to win the Stanley Cup. So we're gonna count on that all the way through, and not counting the fact that Carlson and Crosby will be playing in the Olympics during the 3-week break that we're gonna have. So
true.
It's gonna be a lot to ask. It's gonna be a lot to give up. But when you look at Jason Robertson's numbers, you have to say this guy can not only help us now, but he can help us in the future. Ville Koivunen, when you look at him, do you think he will produce the way that Jason Robertson is currently producing and will continue to produce? I'm going to say I don't know. But the odds are not great, because he's 22. He would have to start doing that in the next year or two in order to get to the level where Jason Robertson is. And I feel like Jason Robertson is at the age where he can be a nice bridge between the big core of Malkin, Crosby, and Letang, and then leading us into Kindle, McGroarty, Horkoff, all those guys. Oh, yeah. He could be that nice bridge where we don't have to just now solely rely on, early 20-year-olds. We have this elite goal scorer who can now be the face of the franchise after the faces of the last 2.5 decades have now moved on.
No, I think that's a great point. This is what the Penguins need, right? This is what the Penguins need going forward. They need something that pushes them over the top. And I think you nailed it. We need a bridge. We need a bridge that is here for the long term, right? So if we go get Jason Robertson, he's going to be here for a while, and it's going to be worth it. 49 games played so far. He has 56 points. That's pretty good, okay? So that's the kind of goal scorer you want to see. That's the kind of guy who's going to help your team make these pushes. And right now, who better to learn from to lead a team than bring Robertson to Sidney Crosby, to his right hand, literally, and just learn from him from the next couple of years. Tell me this team isn't going to be stacked if we get a guy like Jason Robertson.
All right, guys, now we want to hear from you. If you're Kyle Dubas, are you making this trade? Are you even picking up the phone? And if you are, what is your trade proposal? Are we way out of left field here? We want to hear from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We honestly would love to hear from you. Also, we go live after every single game, so don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms so you can join us. At Pens Collective is our handle across all those social media platforms. And that'll do it for this one. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. And as always, Louie,
let's go get Jason Robertson.